All right. I am here, everyone. Not going to start this stream off the same way as usual, because we are doing the 2024 presidential debate tonight. At least we'll be trying to. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. Who's ready for the shit show? Good question. Good question. But yes, I will also be doing a normal stream tonight, but I think I'm going to separate the two streams. Do we have a bingo card? Yes, we have a bingo card. I posted at least 6 of them. I can post more. But there are bingo cards posted in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, go here, and you can play along. If Nightbot wants to help. Maybe it doesn't. Who knows? There we go. Thank you, Nightbot. By the way, I just want to show this to everybody, just in case you have not seen these yet. I do have all of the Twitch notifications working. So, for instance, if you follow the channel on Twitch, we'll see this on all these screens here. And here, and here. Even there. And you'll even see them here. Let's see, what other cool ones do I have here? Got a bunch of different sorts of things. That's like a gifted sub. That's a community gifted sub. Or if you're over here, you'd see it like this. Ooh, I just rated myself with 1 viewer. Impressive me. Okay, anyways, just wanted to show people that. I couldn't remember if I had, in fact, elucidated the details. You can't find a bingo card. It's in. There's like 6 of them I posted in general, I think. Is that Gavin Newsom? It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Have that before.
So it's just interesting, right? All of us are interested in it. What does that mean? I mean, here's a guy.
Wait, what sounds wrong?
Everybody. It's all about.
What did I say?
It's all about trying to get someone off their script of sorts or their game. It plays very differently. If he's sitting there mouthing off, and you have a split screen, and people are like, "Why is he talking and I can't hear him?" And he looks a little more unhinged, unhinged, because he is reasonably already unhinged. But that may temper his temperament tonight.
Okay, that's enough from you, Gavin. That is plenty from you, pal. He said that Donald Trump calls him news scum, and it takes him right back to the 7th grade. It's a very sad story. Oh, rating myself? You're right. No, that is weird. It is weird. What do you think? Should we watch this at the Galactic UN today? I feel like it's a good place to watch this. We could do the zoomed in version. That was Gavin? You thought you heard RFK Jr.? No, Gavin Newsom's voice isn't as fucked up as RFK Jr.'s. RFK practically can't speak. Should we listen to this? I don't even want to listen to this yet. Really, not a hair out of place.
Also, as opposed to Roe v. Wade.
Oh, this is
That's on
from
the ballot
2020
as well,
debate.
In the court. And so that's also at stake right now. And so the election is already begun.
You don't know it's on the ballot.
It's funny that he was saying this 4 years
It's
ago,
on the ballot.
but
It's
did
on the ballot in
nothing
the
I don't
court,
think so.
in the court.
to stop
There's
that.
nothing happening there.
Donald, would you
And
just
you don't
be quiet
know
for a
her view on Roe v. Wade. You don't-
Back then in
Everybody knows he's a liar.
But you
I just
agree,
want to
and
make
Joe,
sure.
you're the liar.
I want to make sure.
Graduated last in your class, not first in your class.
I want to make
Mr.
sure.
President, can you let him finish, sir?
The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how
you gonna
strongly
pack
you
the
feel.
court?
Vote now.
gonna pack the
Make
court?
sure you, in fact, let
No,
people know.
he, as it
Who the
turns out,
senators.
was not
I'm
going to
gonna answer
pack the
question
court.
because-
When you answered that
because
question,
He had
the
4
question
years
is-
to pack that
the
court,
question
and
is-
he
Justice,
didn't.
the
Radical
question-
left.
Would you
Who
shut
is
up,
on,
man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe?
Ooh, shut
is
up.
so-
All right.
This
Gentlemen,
Wow.
I think
This
we've
is
ended
so
this.
Getting hostile.
Pack the court.
We have,
I'm not going to give a list.
we have ended this segment. We're going to move on to the
See,
second
like, I
segment.
almost forgot that this was an actual debate topic back then. But how many times have I mentioned this? It's like, what happened to
from
the
September of
what happened to the
2020,
court packing?
the two
I remember us
candidates
talking
met,
about it at some
talking
point.
about abortion, an issue that
fuck's
could
sake.
come up tonight. We're asking all of you what
For
issues
four-
you want
in
them to
4
talk
years,
about.
you aged
Melinda
more?
and Carlsbad, you're supporting a third-party candidate.
Times
is
is
that right?
tough.
Yes, I am.
And who?
Ooh,
which
Omega Star is
candidate?
first. Well played,
I am
Omega
actually
Star.
very excited
Using
about
that
RFK
one
Jr.
space dollar,
Regardless if he is included in this debate, I believe he's talking
which is what we
about
call
what is
channel
really
points
important to
on
the
Twitch,
United States.
which everybody
people.
gets for free by just watching the channel.
So are you going to be watching his reaction and response to the two candidates on X?
I will be doing both simultaneously.
Ooh,
However,
simultaneously.
what really
Sounds sexy.
concerns me all about this debate was, and this is went on with the primaries as well,
Uh-huh.
it's censorship.
Oh, no.
I would love
The
to be
censorship.
candidate that is on the stage tonight
Wait, she's
to
crying
speak
about the mics
censorship,
being
but,
turned off?
You know,
Already?
why would we not include a third candidate that has submitted appropriate amount of signatures, but the states would not certify them? I just,
What?
you know, I think average Americans are
I'm
feeling
sorry.
more disenfranchised
What is this lady saying
every
now?
day. And I care about chronic illness. I'm particularly concerned about the 5 states, starting with Kansas, that are suing Pfizer. I've seen a lot of houses go under, people losing their houses.
She's
during
just still
COVID,
nodding
and I was very
and listening
democratic
right now.
like
It's
Biden at that
amazing.
time.
Princess
like, really
Monocle
believing in,
is second.
Oh, this is what's saving us. And I feel very duped. And then watching how the primaries have went down, Florida just said
This
Biden
is
will
like,
win in a
she
primary.
is just copy pasting
Why would
some
I
shit
want
off
to
of a
support
fucking
the
like
Democratic
QAnon
Party?
board or something.
Who are my
Jesus
political loyalties?
Christ, this is
I vote for
wild.
them, and I'm extremely disappointed.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
she's disappointed.
I
That
like
is
the
sad.
idea.
Robot
Thank
Monkey
you for
Cat
giving me
with
a voice. I
third.
appreciate
Well
that.
played, Robot Monkey
Absolutely,
Cat.
Melinda. Adrian, Lakeland, Florida, supporting President Biden.
Yes, hello.
Hi, Adrian. What issue do you want the two to debate tonight?
Well, first of all, let me say I've been watching President or
The
ex-President
people
Trump
who call
since
into C-SPAN
1980,
are wild.
and all he has ever done was rip off people, bankrupt companies, and lie. The slogan for him should be, "The truth is I always lie." That's all he does. For this country to
Yeah, he's being canceled and censored by being on
and
every TV
support an
broadcasting station
insurrectionist
on every
and
in every country on the planet.
the people in
That's
Congress
exactly what
who
censorship
support
is,
him,
Mitty. You just don't
the
know what that
118th
means,
Congress has
obviously.
got nothing done. Nothing. Because of these inadequate people that have been elected to serve him over our Constitution. When everybody takes an oath, this is an
Yeah, if
including the
everybody can
Supreme
hear what you're
Court.
saying and you're allowed to say whatever you
Whoever
want
takes
at
the
all
oath,
times,
they're not
that's
merely
censorship.
words on a page. They mean something.
All right. Adrian's thoughts there in Florida. Several of you have already mentioned the issue of immigration, likely to come up again tonight, border security, etc. Immigration and border security brought up in 2020
Oh,
during
God.
the two debates as well.
Not the border.
This is what the two candidates were saying.
I feel like
on
we've
it at the
already crossed, like,
second and
we can't
final
start bingo yet,
debate
but we've
of
already
2020
crossed
in
off like
Nashville.
10 tiles.
Mr.
I
President, your
swear to
administration
God.
separated children from their parents at the border, at least 4,000 kids. You've since reversed your zero-tolerance policy, but the United States can't locate the parents of more than 500 children. So how will these families ever be reunited?
Children are brought here by coyotes and lots of bad people, cartels, and they're brought here, and they used to use them to get into our country. We now have as strong a border as we've ever had. We're over 400 miles of brand new wall. You see the numbers, and we let people in, but they have to come in legally, and they come in through
But
merit.
how will you
But
reunite
let me
these
just tell
kids
you,
with their families,
Let me just tell you,
Mr.
they
President?
built cages.
Literally
You know, they
being
used to say,
broadcast
"I
on
built the
public
cages."
access
And then they
media
had a
paid by
picture
the
in a
state.
certain
Yep.
Newspaper, and it was a picture of
Yep.
these
It'll be
horrible
interesting to see
cages,
whether or not
and
they
said,
allow
"Look at these
people
cages.
to
President
restream
Trump built
this.
them." And then it was determined they were built.
Should be legal
in
to do,
2014.
but
that was
somehow
him.
Do you have
They
a
built
plan to
cages.
reunite the
there's
kids?
a lot
Yes,
of
we're working on
questions
it
floating
we're
around
trying very hard. But a lot of these kids
as
come
to
out
whether or
without
not
the
this
parents.
will
They
be
come over through
shut
cartels
down.
and through coyotes and through gangs.
shadow
These
ban.
500 plus kids came with parents. They separated them at the border to make it a disincentive to come to begin with. Big, real tough. We're really strong. And guess what? They cannot, it's not coyotes didn't bring them over. Their parents were with them. They got separated from their parents. And it makes us a laughing stock and
Seriously,
violence every
coyotes
notion
can't
of who we
carry
are as a
children.
nation.
They're
Parents
too
were
small.
ripped,
People
their
don't
kids were
realize
ripped
this,
from
but
their
coyotes are
arms and
very
separated.
petite.
And
It's
now
like
they
I think they're like the
cannot
size of
find
a
over
fox, maybe a
500
little bit
sets of
bigger.
those
You know,
parents, and those
how are you
kids
supposed to
are
carry
alone.
a child
Nowhere to go.
as a
Nowhere to go.
coyote? It's just impossible.
It's criminal. It's criminal.
Let me ask
Kristen,
you
I will
about
say this.
immigration.
They
10
went down.
seconds
We
and
brought
then I need to ask
reporters,
you.
everything. They are so well taken care of. They're in facilities that were so clean.
But some
and
of them
gotten
haven't been
such
reunited
But
with their
just ask
families.
one
Just
question.
factually
Who built the
inaccurate.
cages? I'd love you to ask him that. Who built the cages?
Let me ask about your immigration policy, Mr. Vice
Jesus
President. The Obama administration did fail to deliver immigration reform, which had been a key
I forgot
promise
about this debate.
during the administration. It also presided over record deportations as well as family detentions at the border before changing course. So why should voters trust you with an immigration overhaul now?
Probably because I feel like when I watched this, I was just laughing
right.
the whole time.
Took too long to get it right.
Wildly
Within
nonsensical.
100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to citizenship for over 11 million undocumented people. And all of those
You have
so-called
YouTube and Twitch up
dreamers,
for now?
those
That's the
DACA
sign that
kids,
you are
they're going to be immediately
a
certified
serious
again to be able to stay in this
galactic
country
space
and put on a
head,
path to citizenship.
if
The
you will.
idea that
My
they
brain is
are
broken.
being sent home by this guy
I'm
and
trying
they
to
want
listen
do
to
that
this right
is
now,
they've gone to a country
and it's
they've
breaking
never
my
seen
brain.
before. I can imagine you're 5 years old, your parents are taking you across.
CNN has a lot
the
of
Rio Grande
blame on its
River,
hands. They do.
And it's illegal.
This is
You
a
say, "Oh, no, Mom,
C-SPAN
leave me here. I'm not
recast
gonna
of
go with you."
CNN, I
They've been here.
believe.
Many of them are model citizens. Over 20,000 of them are first responders out there taking care of people during this crisis.
But yes, I
We
know
owe
and
them.
agree.
President
Kristen,
Trump,
he
your
had
reaction.
8 years to do what he said he was going to do. And I've changed
We did.
without having a specific. We got rid of catch and release. We got rid of a lot of horrible things that they put in and that they lived with. But he had 8 years he was vice president. He did nothing. It just shows
What
that
vice
he has
president
no
has ever done
understanding of
anything great?
immigration of the
Let's be
laws.
real about
Catch
that
and release
question.
is a disaster.
Name one
A
great
murderer
vice
would
president.
come in, a rapist would come in, a very bad person would come in. We would take their name. We have to release them into our country. And then you say they come back. Less than 1% of the people come back. We have to send ICE out and Border Patrol out to find them. We would say, come back in 2 years, 3 years. We're going to give you a court case. You need Perry Mason. We're going to give you a court case. When you say they come back, they don't come back.
You're
Joe.
waiting
They
the
never
onslaught
come
of
back.
notifications
Only
from
the
YouTube subs
really-
covering the debate. Yeah,
I
there's
hate
a
to
bunch of
say
people
this,
I saw who
but
are
those
planning
with
to
the
cover
lowest
this.
IQ, they might come back.
Maybe strengthen numbers. The
Back
more
in
people that
2020 in the
that cover
second
it, maybe the
and
less
final
likely
debate
they
of
are
that
to
election cycle. We are just
ban
less
us
than
all.
15 minutes away from this year's first presidential debate, hosted by CNN.
Pretty sure that
simulcasted
logic checks
here
out.
on the C-SPAN networks. You're looking at a live picture of the spin room, where the supporters for the candidates will go and talk to the
Ooh,
media
the spin
following
room.
the debate.
Thanks, Jeff, for
Here
the question.
at our studios at C-SPAN, joining us is Peter Luge. He is at the George Washington University School of Media and Public Affairs. He's their chair there to talk about the history of debates. Thank you for being here.
Thanks very much for the invitation.
The very first televised presidential debate was in 1960, as our viewers know, between John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon. How did that debate change campaigns?
Well, debating became part of the norm, right? It became part of the television era where campaigns came to us in our living rooms. We didn't have to go to a hall or a field to watch a debate or see the candidates. They came to our house. And since then, it's been part of the tradition of American politics that every couple of years we're joined in our living room by candidates for president, Senate, the House, mayor, whatever, and they make their best case for themselves.
There was no audience then. There's no audience tonight. How does that impact?
I think we all know how that's going to impact things.
I'm not sure it impacts the outcome of the debate. It might impact how the debaters respond, right? I mean, comparing 1960 to 2024 is a bit of a stretch, right? There's no audience, but a lot else has changed as well. I think you have to look at the candidates. Donald Trump feeds off a crowd. He likes a big audience. He likes the feedback. President Biden is better in a smaller setting. He's better in one-on-one. That's how he spent his career. I think a lack of a formal audience will probably help President Biden because it's a venue he's used to. And I'm not sure that it's one that will benefit Trump because, again, he likes the energy and he feeds off the energy. That just won't be there.
Another difference will be the microphones are going to be muted when one candidate has the floor. We saw that the former president back in 2020 in the first debate interrupted then Vice President Joe Biden over 100 times.
Was it over 100 times? That's a lot of times.
His poll numbers went down.
That sounds right,
the sitting
though.
president, his poll numbers went down. How do you think the muted microphones play out tonight?
I think it definitely, again, hopefully brings a bit of control to the debate. It's a little bit less chaotic, a little more conversation, hopefully. A lot has been made about the fact that the mics will be turned off when their time is up, although one can imagine if President Trump speaks loudly enough, President Biden's mic will probably pick it up as well. Hopefully, again, it would lead to a more informed conversation that can help voters make up their mind rather than what amounts to a pudding fight on the playground.
The muted microphones is one change for this CNN presidential debate.
You think the mics being muted benefit Trump?
Presidential debate.
Because I feel like his supporters love when he interrupts people and tells them that they're stupid,
decades, who
that
has
they
been
wear
the
a
ones
hat
that
made
have
of lies.
Sponsored and organized these debates. How is tonight different without the commission doing the debates?
Some of the rules are different, obviously, otherwise the candidates would have gone to the commission. I think it's more important that we're having debates than who's controlling the debates. And we'll see this, right? If this works, then maybe, and obviously there's a scheduled debate in September on ABC. If this works, maybe this is what will happen next time. I think what's really important, though, is a reinforcement of democratic norms.
You won't follow the rules anyway. Well, if the mics are muted, it's definitely it's not.
The press,
it's just you're going to see him talking, and you're not going to hear anything.
Says, you know what? Part of politics is
you would think CNN's got the sound figured out. At least that's my assumption.
Another interesting tidbit about tonight is that you have one candidate who's running for re-election, and then you have the other who's attempting a non-consecutive run. Talk about the history of that.
Well, it's happened once successfully, back when mutton chops were a big deal. So again, I'm not sure that we're going to be able to repeat that. We do have two basically incumbents running on their records and against their opponents' records, which is a new wrinkle.
So you said there was one successful president, Grover Cleveland, right?
Yep.
Had a non-consecutive run. One first term in 1884, defeated
9 minutes, folks. 9 minutes and 30 seconds, according to this little timer here at the bottom.
1892. So
it's going to happen soon.
If you want to be successful at this, what do you have to do? I mean,
it's going to look. They're both going to look ridiculous
differently
with the muted ranting.
He's attempting a non-consecutive.
I guess we'll find out. It does sound hilarious to me.
I think the way we know it works.
I'm looking forward to that part of it.
I'm not sure what we can learn from 2024 from that, except they're both going to run on their records. These are both known commodities. The American people know President Biden from his time as president, vice president, U.S. senator. People know Donald Trump from his reality television show, from his time in the tabloid headlines in New York, then obviously as president of the United States and everything that's happened in between. We're not learning much new about these guys. We're going to watch to see how they comport themselves. I think mostly the people who are watching are pundits, partisans, and the press, most of whom are going to say, see, I told you so, that other guy's out of touch and incoherent and dangerous, and only my guy can save the republic. I expect that's what we're going to see, and we'll see how much that actually matters in the long run.
The campaigns agreed to this debate in part because they both said voters are using mail-in ballots and
Watching
early voting
CNN is
in
reminding you of
record
why you
numbers.
don't.
So they
This
wanted to
is
hold this debate
C-SPAN.
now
This
in
isn't even the
June,
simulcast
not
yet.
in
This is just
September,
I don't
after
remember her
the
name,
conventions.
but
In
she's a
this
C-SPAN
new
host.
schedule
C-SPAN
of
is pretty
meeting the
terrible
voters,
too, though.
Do you expect that there's going to be a
Not
large
gonna
audience
lie.
tonight at home?
There might be numbers for viewing numbers for debates that are going up. in
You're
recent
also
years,
watching
with the exception
CNN,
of
I see.
2020, but
Wow.
people are tuning
You
in.
are
A lot
going
of
in
people
on
that
this.
were
You're
tuning in
watching
are partisans.
CNN and you're watching
yes, early voting
C-SPAN
matters.
by way
Nobody's
of my
voting for
stream.
president yet
This is
because
wild.
These guys aren't actually the nominees yet. That
Omega
doesn't
Star
happen
says
until the
hydrate.
conventions.
Okay, hold on.
I think the one in September will be more on track for early voting. One of the things we know from political science research is that debates may move some polling sometimes, but they don't tend to move very many votes. And if one guy does really well or really poorly tonight, the polling numbers may shift, but then they'll settle back to their normal place or where they were. Then again, we've got the conventions. And those similarly have a bounce. Trump will get a bounce, Biden will get a bounce, it'll settle in. I'm really not sure that tonight's debate does much for the outcome of the election. Neither of these guys is going to win the election tonight. One can imagine tonight making the election trickier for one candidate or the other, but I mean, most of us are thinking about the 4th of July weekend. We're not thinking about the election day in November.
Does age matter tonight?
Well, Donald Trump is certainly going to try to make it matter. He's going to say that his
yeah, he's so youthful in comparison.
Probably see the Reagan.
78 years old.
Make my opponent's youth and inexperience an issue. Certainly, Donald Trump and Joe Biden both want to make their opponent the worst caricature of their opponent possible. And part of the caricature of Biden is that he's old and gumming his Jell-O, and we'll see if that works.
Well, the former president is 78.
Any other links for
President
when
Biden's
/ if this one
There's
gets
3
lit?
years
Let's not get
difference.
ahead of ourselves,
That's true.
Del
The
Sol
people who tend
Verde.
to talk about the age the most.
I
of the
appreciate
press
that sort
who
of
then say, so
pessimistic
President Biden is really
thinking.
Old. What do you
Okay.
think? And voters go, wow, I guess he's really old. I think what matters is
Stay
mental
positive.
acuity. And we've seen again and again, Biden State of the Union address and other events has really shown up in big moments. And I know the Biden campaign is hoping for that tonight to say, look, he's on top of his game. He's sharp as a tack. He shuffles a bit. He looks old because, 81's old. But mentally, he's there. He's the guy for the job. And Trump is obviously going to try to undermine that. Both campaigns are going to use tonight, pull clips from tonight, pull videos.
One thing I've been
of the
thinking
worst
about,
moment of their opponent
because
possible, and say,
they just
see,
went
this is what my
live,
opponent's about. And there's going to be a moment where Joe Biden looks old.
was
So it's not
potentially
about
watching the majority
policy.
report
It
do
sounds like it's
do
about personality.
the
Are
debate, but
those
that seems
two
wrong.
issues so
That seems
intertwined?
wrong. But I do genuinely
The
want to
American
watch
people, by
it.
and
But
large,
the
don't
chat
vote
in
on
there is always
policy. We like to
fucking
think we do.
insane on these debates.
But none of us carries around a spreadsheet.
How
in our
long
head
is the debate? I think like an
balancing 3 points
hour
for abortion
and a
2
half?
for guns, or do the math.
it ends at
5 by
10?
4 or something like that.
I know.
Most of us are Democrats or
I
Republicans.
don't know.
And
Hold
even
on.
independents tend to be really reliably partisan.
Yes, thank you.
I
Okay,
think
it is
what
an
we're
hour and a
looking
half.
for,
It starts
though,
at 9,
is
so 10:30.
My guy really
That's
up
when
to
it
the
technically
task.
ends.
You've got a
You
Trump
think we
has
should watch
been
the majority
picking up
report?
points lately. One of the Democrats' arguments is there's a bit of Trump
We
amnesia.
can. I'm not
And so
against it.
what
I'm not against.
the
I just
Biden
don't want
campaign
to,
wants to do is remind
step
voters,
on any
hey, he
toes
sounds
here.
a
I just
little
thought it'd be
wacky.
kind of
So
hilarious.
those new numbers will then fade back.
Stream in
Again,
a
it's not on
stream.
a policy, right? If presidents ruled on what Americans wanted as public policy, we'd have a border we'd have a wall along the southern border.
Can you
and
be
we'd have
banned
a
for
lot of
watching
gun
a stream
control.
inside of a
We
stream
have
that's
neither.
not copywriting you?
What we want is somebody who can represent and stand up for our values. This is me. Here's who I want to project myself, my country to be in the White House. And again, both guys, I think, are going to want to tonight demonstrate they're sharp. They're on top of the facts. They're rational. They're reasonable. They get the task done while simultaneously trying to goad the opponent into being the worst caricature of themselves.
Peter Loge is the chair at the School of Media and Public Affairs at George Washington University. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Oh my
Many thanks.
God.
Always happy to join you.
As we
is
talked
this?
about, Peter Loge was talking about their policy, their records will come up tonight, and voters
You don't
will
see how they can take
have
down
a
C-SPAN?
record for both
I
of these
also
candidates.
don't
That was an
understand how
issue
they'll
back
be able
in
to take
2020
down
as well.
the C-SPAN.
Take a look at the two
I
candidates
think they
talking
have
about their political
something
records
of
at
a
the first
agreement.
debate in
Pretty sure.
Cleveland. And again, these debates, these
Oh my God.
these previous debates and the vice presidential debates from all cycles can be found if you go to our website, cspan.org.
This is what the majority of Poor Stream looks like right now. This is
back in 2020,
off-putting.
talking about their
Sam,
political records.
with this lighting.
Looking at both of your records, I'm going to ask each of you, why should voters elect you president over your opponent?
Because there has never been an administration or president who has done more than I've done in a period of 3.5 years. And that's despite the impeachment hoax.
Labor
And we saw
is,
what happened
yeah,
today with
I
Hillary
heard
Clinton,
that,
where it was
Mitty.
a whole big con job.
The Tories are getting
despite going through all of
absolutely
these
fucking
things where I had to fight
trounced.
both flanks
And
behind
initially,
me
the
and
things I was
above.
hearing was that,
There's
oh,
never been
the
an administration
Lib Dems
that's
were going to
done
pick up
what
a
I've
bunch
done.
of seats.
The
No,
greatest
it
before
seems
COVID
like
came in, the
Labor
greatest
is
economy
going
in
to
history, lowest
be
unemployment
handily
numbers. Everything was
shutting
good. Everything
that
was going.
down.
And by the way, there was unity going.
I was
to
hoping
happen.
that Greens
People were
would make
calling me for the first
more
time in
progress than
years.
they
were
did,
calling,
but
and they were saying it's time, maybe.
a
And
little
then
too
what happened?
hopeful.
We got hit, but now we're building it back up again. A rebuilding of the military, including Space Force and all of the other things.
This angle's throwing me off of
fixing
Sam.
Of the,
Not
the
gonna
VA,
lie.
which was a
It's the
mess
wrong
under
angle.
him. 308,000 people died because they didn't have proper health care. He was a mess.
Under this president, we become weaker, sicker, poorer, more divided.
Saul is going to
more
call
violent.
into the show.
When I was
You think
vice
that
president,
the you
we
think
inherited
UKIP
a recession.
2.0 is going
I
to
was
get
asked to fix
seats?
it. I did. We left him a
Wild.
booming economy, and he caused the recession. With regard to
Just
being
wild.
weeker,
Space
the fact
Force.
is that
oh my
I've
goodness.
gone head to head with Putin and made it clear to him we're not going to take any of his stuff. He's Putin's puppy. He still refuses to
Hold on.
even say anything to Putin about the bounty
Hold
on
on,
the
I have to
heads
hear
of
what Sam
American
is saying.
soldiers.
What the
Your
fuck
son
is
got
this?
$3.5 million.
Not sure.
Hush, hush, C-SPAN. Sam is just chowing down on pizza over here.
YouTube.
Oh, there's Emma.
/Majority Report Live.
Sam has destroyed that piece of pizza. He started that like 10 seconds ago. That shit is fucking...
Rumble won't let us broadcast on it.
Wow, really? Rumble won't let them
Why
broadcast.
do we have more than 3,000 people on this stream? YouTube.com/Majority Report Live.
Why? 3,000's light. I was assuming there'd be at least like 7,000 already. The Vergonia stream. That's how you eat. It comes with parenthood. Just trying to inhale as many calories in as short a period as time between whatever sort of parental duties you got going on. I can hear. I see that. I see that. Numbers will pick up. No kidding. Of course the numbers are going to pick up. Majority report on debate night. Come on. I think the Republican debate hit... Mitty, am I right? Did the Republican debate hit 10,000 viewers for them? I could have sworn it hit over 10,000. It was some wild number.
You might see an extra commercial.
Oh, good. The room's clearing out.
You know what's upsetting me is that I did not know that this
there's too many
TV was
people
there.
here.
What?
YouTube.com/Majority.
You do, that is antithetical to the first statement. It's throwing me off. I'm upset about this TV. Where did this TV come from? Okay, this angle shouldn't exist. It's only one angle.
Okay.
There's a lot you can't remember.
let's
That's
go
fair.
live.
That seems unnecessary.
I like how you're proud of that. Wait, did we?
I am proud of that.
You should be ashamed of yourself for having that thought.
It's really.
Everyone is streaming debate. I know. I've noticed. There's
I don't know if
literally
you can read that. What?
like 10, 12 leftist channels all going at once.
Just hit me with further news. Emma's actually mocking it now.
I'm not mocking it. I'm using it for free advertising. I'm gonna put it on my Twitter so people know to go. No, that's sketchy. There's no. I'm not.
Yeah,
even
no,
gonna
you do it on the Twitter. Yeah.
The audience is spread out.
link.
I'm actually shocked that we got as many people watching right now as we do.
Oh wow.
I was concerned when I when I looked at the number of live channels after I had already scheduled this. I was like, oh
Go
boy,
ahead, Bradley.
what did I just sign myself up for?
No. I want to hear. Turn that down. Turn that up. Bring it down.
You got 2 TVs and a phone going. Good
Ladies
God,
and
Omega
gentlemen,
Star.
this
You are deep in it.
is a Majority Report special broadcast on youtube.com/Majority Report Live.
so special, we're doing it on youtube.com/Majority Report Live.
That is
that's
special.
Right. Oh, I gotta block that.
My God.
The TV. There we go. All right. Folks, hi. Okay. All right, there we go. Sorry. We're a little discombobulated. They're going through the rules right now. It doesn't make a difference. As you know, the microphone. Oh, hi, Emma.
Hi, Sam.
Hi. The microphone is going to be automatically turned off when the other person's speaking, and so 2 minutes closing statements. They're saying right now, folks. If you're watching here,
this is Meta.
Live on YouTube.
Yeah, this is Meta AF.
Majority Report Live. Of course, because we want to show our deference.
This is basically a metaception. Okay.
Oh, here we go. All right, let's bring up the sound.
Okay, hold on.
And yep, Biden is.
I'm gonna mute the MR. We're just gonna listen to this for a second, see how this goes, see if we can actually listen to this without getting copyright struck.
And please welcome the
I'm gonna watch what's happening over here on the majority board as this is going on. You're going to stream this stream. I support that. I will not copyright strike you. In fact, we will be posting links to your stream in this stream if in fact you do that.
Issue that voters consistently say is their top concern, the economy. President Biden, inflation has slowed, but prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120. And typical home prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency
Where
than
is
they were
Gary?
under President Trump?
This is absurd.
What I was left on
It is absurd.
What Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach into your arm. You'll be all right.
Oh, thanks for the follow,
collapsed.
Dumb Money 83.
There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was terrible. And so what we had to do is try to put things back together again. And that's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs. We brought out the position where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. But there's more to be done. There's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble. I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I come of a household where the kitchen table
Scranton,
things weren't able to be
Pennsylvania.
met during the month.
My
It was a
God.
problem. Price of eggs,
What does that
the price
even
of
mean?
gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things. That's why I'm working so hard to make sure I deal with those problems. And we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're going to make sure we build 2 million new units. We're going to make sure we cap rents so corporate greed can't take over. The combination, what I was left with in corporate greed, is the reason why we're in this problem right now. In addition to that, we're in a situation where if you take a look at all that was done in his administration, he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos, literally chaos. And so we put things back together. We created, I said, those jobs. We make sure we had a situation where we brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people, to $15 for an insulin shot as opposed to $400. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs they can include beginning next year. And the situation is and we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
Thank you. President Trump?
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID, and when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up
We're
in
talking
the Great
about this
Depression, the
again?
likes of which
Okay.
we had in 1929.
Is it 2020 again?
By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He created mandates that was a disaster for our country. But other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce-back jobs, a bounce-back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you. President Biden?
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world, he's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks he had the greatest economy in the world. And, you know, the fact of the matter is that we found ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any one term. He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea that he did something that was significant. And the military, you know, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have any, this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can.
Am I allowed to respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can
Have
do whatever you
deficits been mentioned yet? Good question. Good
good
question.
You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. It's going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited 9% inflation. No, he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, and they don't know what they were doing. It was the worst, probably the worst administration in history. There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan,
there's never been a worse administration.
I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President Trump, over the last 8 years, under both of your administrations, the national debt soared to record highs. And according to a new nonpartisan analysis, President Trump, your administration approved $8.4 trillion in new debt, while so far, President Biden, you've approved $4.3 trillion in new debt. So, former President Trump, many of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about
China was on the bingo
country.
card. It's a good point. Make sure you get those people.
Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country. The country was going like never before, and we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet, the oil and gas right under our feet. We were going to have something that nobody else has had. We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember,
who came up with it?
More people died.
Donald Trump didn't come up with shit. What is
even
he
though
talking
we had largely
about?
fixed it. More people died
Just
under his
taking credit for-
administration
just
than our
taking credit for
administration,
other
and we were
people's
right in
shit.
the middle of it. Something
Amazing.
which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did
Playing the
mandate,
hits.
which
He has
is a
got to play the
disaster,
hits. You're right.
mandating it. The vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weaponization.
Let's be real, because that happened during his presidency,
all of the things
right?
he's done, we've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country. And I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons,
not my
jails,
fault.
and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later.
What did you
in this
miss?
block. President
Basically
Biden,
nothing.
I want to give you an
People got
opportunity to
China
respond to
on their
this
bingo
question
cards. I
about the
think another one was discussed.
He had the largest
I just heard national
debt of any
debt.
president
I just
for
heard
your
national
period,
debt.
number
I think that might have been
Number
on the
two,
cards.
That $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. I mean, billionaires in America.
Okay.
And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
You beat it?
President Biden, President Trump?
He's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare. Because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions
of course, the Republicans,
they're trying to put them on Social Security.
They're not going to destroy it. They're just going to make it not exist at all.
Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right.
If you make it disappear,
that sentence, and it's a shame.
Yeah, who knows if it exists or not.
In the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people. They cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think we're very stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us.
Who's he even talking about right now?
Is absolutely criminal.
Name a country.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
This is the first presidential election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban. Former President Trump, you take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Correct.
However, the federal government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion pill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it. And if you look at this whole question that you're asking, complex but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception.
Everybody, without exception.
Liberals, conservatives.
What is he talking about?
Religious leaders.
He's just making up new history. Everybody, this is the new amended history of the United States.
And they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something
for the last 50 years, all people.
Now, 10 years ago or so, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this, getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world,
he doesn't know a legal. You can't name one legal scholar.
The states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing. Texas is different. Florida is different. But they're all making their own decisions right now. And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people. Like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes.
Vote of the people.
And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions.
This is wild.
Rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart. But you have to get elected also. And because that has to do with other things. You got to get elected. The problem they have is they're radical.
What
because
is
they will
this guy
take
talking
the life
about
of the
right
child
now?
In the 8th month, the 9th month, and even
Nobody
after
is
birth.
talking
After
about
birth,
that.
If you look at
After
the former
birth.
governor of Virginia,
He's just
he was
making
willing
shit
to
up
do
now.
this. He said, "We'll put the baby aside, and we'll determine what we do with the baby." Meaning
I think
we'll
he's
kill the
just
baby.
thinking of Republican
What
policies.
happened is we brought it back to the states, and the country is now coming together
You know,
on this
just
issue. It's been a great thing.
Remove all
Thank you.
protections
President Biden?
from children the
terrible
second that they're born.
The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe. And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks You don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor, and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in to talk about that. But here's the deal: there's a lot of young women.
What in the fuck is he talking about?
By their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters, it's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it.
I don't think I know what references he's mentioning right now to get what the fuck he's saying, but that did not sound
by the same people he
like a
allows to
coherent
come
thought.
across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world, considered the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country.
Anywhere in the world?
And they are
According
raping
to
and killing
what?
women. And it's a terrible thing. As far as
Just
the abortion is
thoughts?
concerned, it is now back with the states. The
Is
states
that what
have
it
voted.
is? That what it's according
in many
to?
cases, it's frankly a
How
very
about
liberal decision.
Gaza?
In many
Is
cases, it's the
Gaza
opposite.
less dangerous
But
than
they're
the
voting,
border?
and it's bringing it back to the vote of the
Is
people,
that what
which
the?
is what
Is that what he's
everybody
saying?
wanted.
The border of
including the
Ukraine
founders,
is
if they knew
safer.
about this issue, which frankly they didn't. But they would have. Everybody wanted it brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted it brought back, and many presidents had tried to get it back. I was the one to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
All of
Staying
them.
on the topic of abortion, President Biden, 7 states, I'll let you do that. This is the same topic. 7 states have no legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion. Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I support Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. The first time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians, the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision.
Yeah, no, Biden is fucking this up. I know,
That's how
Mitty.
it should be done.
I know what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. It's not going well.
So that means he can take
The
life
fact
of the
is, I feel
baby
like it would
in
look
the
better
9th
if he
month
was getting
and even after
interrupted at
birth,
this
because
point,
some
because
states, Democrat-run,
he's just
take it after
Why?
birth.
What
Again,
is he
the governor,
looking?
former governor of Virginia.
He's just looking
Put
down
the
and
baby
talking
down, then
to
we decide
himself.
what to do
God,
with it.
dude.
So he's willing
Oh my
to,
God.
as we say, rip
This
the baby
looks so
out of
bad.
the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican. Nobody wants it to happen.
That is simply not true. The Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance.
He's
only woman's
right
life is in
about
danger.
this,
She's
but-
going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period. Period, period.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are
Oh
the
my
radicals,
God.
not the Republicans.
For 51
Just
years,
keep
that was
making
the law.
up straw
51
men
years, constitutional
arguments.
Scholarship said it was the right way
Just-
to go. 51 years.
Oh,
and it
just
was taken
complete
away because
nonsense.
This guy,
Totally
very
normal.
conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do? In fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board at 6 weeks or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks, something very, very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Let's turn now to the issue of immigration and border security. President Biden, a record number of migrants have illegally crossed the southern border on your watch. Overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and
The old
Chicago, in some
afterbirth
cases
abortion,
causing real
yeah.
safety and security concerns.
That's one of these
Given
Republican
that, why
talking
should
points that I
voters
feel
trust
like
you
should have
to solve this crisis?
vanished a long time ago.
Because
But
we
there's
worked very hard to
there's
get
still
a
a
bipartisan
huge number of
agreement
people
that not only changed
in
all
that
that,
sort of
it made sure that we are in a situation where
in that group, if you
had
will,
no
that do in
circumstance
fact
where they can come
continue
across
to
the
believe
border
that that's
with
true.
The number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number asylum officers. Significantly, by the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my position. In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure the families were separated. That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we can do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Yep.
We had the safest border in the history of our country. The border, all he had to do was leave it. All he had
Biden is just not delivering any of these things with any sort of
to people that are from prisons,
like clarity
or from mental
sincerity. It seems like he seems so low energy. Everybody was complaining about this guy he's gonna be on cocaine, he's gonna be on Mountain Dew, or he's gonna be jacked up on something else. And
all over the world,
he just seems tired as shit.
Just left it open, and he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in caravans.
President Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything across the border is one who came along and killed.
They're dying all over the place. The immigrants are killing everybody. Wait, hold on.
Kill 3 American
looks like it's mostly Americans
kill 3 American
killing
soldiers.
each other.
That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons, we're welcoming these people, that's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating, he's lying.
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote.
Didn't say that.
Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world. And it had a huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything. He's the one that killed people with a bad border, including hundreds of thousands of people dying.
Dude.
And also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California, in every state in the union, because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border. And because of his ridiculous, insane, and very stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. They're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen before. And you're reading it like these 3 incredible
Where
young
is he
girls
getting
over the
any
last
of
few
these?
days.
He's not even saying
One of them,
numbers.
they
He's
just
just
spoke to the
saying the
mother,
most ever.
and they just had the funeral.
You've never seen as many as
12 years
this.
old. This is horrible what's taken place. What's taken
Absolutely
place in our country.
horrible.
We're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like. And we have to get a lot of these
Opened the
people out,
border. He
and
did
we
the
have to get them
exact
out fast
opposite.
because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels.
I know. Biden keeps
in
making
New York
crypt
City and other
faces.
places.
It's not helping.
Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't
Why
like
does
the
he
military
keep
at
looking
all.
down like
And
he's
he
about to
doesn't care
fall
about our
asleep?
veterans. Nobody
What
but
is
worse.
happening?
I had the highest
What is
approval
happening?
rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved. Choice that I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy.
David
But he has
Feldman's
killed
chat
so
thinks
many
that
people at our
Biden
border
is
by
doing
allowing
well.
all of these people
Hey,
to come in.
everybody's entitled to their
Sad day in
opinions.
America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie. Every single one. For example, veterans are a hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act. 1 million of them now have insurance and their families have it. their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And his group opposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for
Are they
veterans.
on coke? If they're on coke, this is the sleepiest coke party I've ever seen in my life.
Came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
President Trump?
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up, and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19 people.
Trump
that
just
said,
lies. Yeah,
it was
but
never said by me.
he does it with
was
confidence,
made up by him,
and
just
so
like Russia
most of
was
his
made
base
up,
just believe
just like
everything
the
that he
51
says, so they
intelligence
assume it's
agents
fact.
are made up. Just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking, it's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said
I don't
that
know
the
who on
laptop
Biden's
was
team
Russia disinformation. It
thought
wasn't.
this up.
That came from his son.
That's
Hunter.
true. He had
It
there
wasn't
were dick
Russia
pics.
disinformation.
There were dick
He
pics
made
on
up
the laptop,
suckers
so
and losers, so he should
that would have
apologize to
been
me right now.
4-star
huge.
general standing to your side who was on your staff who said you said it. Period. That's number one. And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history. And they now are in their family. The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
All right, thank you so much.
Let's move to the topic of foreign policy. I want to begin with
I don't know who
Russia's
on
war
Biden's
against
team came up with the
Ukraine,
format
which
for this
is now
debate,
in
but
its third year.
it was
Former
ill-advised.
President Trump,
I think
Russian
it was.
President
I don't think this
Vladimir
is going
Putin
well, in my
says he'll
opinion.
only
I mean,
end
and it
this
is an
war
opinion.
if Russia keeps
But-
the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him, that we've ever had. They can't stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, the president that knew, that was respected by Putin, he would have never invaded Ukraine. A lot of people are dead right now, much more than people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it.
Okay, hold on. Hold the phone. Why is this happening? Stop that. Yeah, I saw that they just get taken down. Did MR just get taken down? Did you see? Or was it just... I didn't quite see what happened, but it... Oh, God.
He's obsessing over this Afghanistan thing. I don't think I think largely most Americans think that we should have withdrawn from Afghanistan.
100%.
You know what?
We got
we're going to go in and maybe take my
soft gel CBD,
dream.
and it hits much quicker, and it's helpful.
He never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why? because Iran was broke with me.
What?
I wouldn't let anybody do business with
He
them.
didn't
They ran
re-enter
out of
the
money.
Iran
They were
deal,
broke.
you
They had no
Wow,
money for
yeah,
Hamas.
he's just-
They had no money for anything. No money for terror. That's why you had no
Just
terror
been,
at all
you
during
know,
my administration.
anti-fact
This place,
after
the whole world is
anti-fact from
blowing
Mr.
up.
Trump
to
here.
flank Joe. Not to the
President
left.
Biden?
No, yeah, it turns out that
so much
Biden.
malarkey in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is that we're in a situation where, let's take the last point first.
Yes, a million
Iran
years.
attacked American
Trump,
troops,
if he was
killed,
elected, he would have been in
caused
office for
brain
1
damage
million years.
for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Recently, not when he was president, they attacked. He said they're just having headaches. That's all it is. He didn't do a thing when the attack took place. Number one. Number two, we got over 100,000 Americans and others out of Afghanistan during that airlift. Number three, we found ourselves in a situation where, if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want, do whatever you want. And
He
that's
told
exactly what
Putin
Trump did.
that.
To Putin
Some of
encouraged
this-
him, do whatever you want. And he went in. And listen to what he said when he went in. He was going to take Kyiv in 5 days, remember? Because it's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish. Kyiv. And he, in fact, didn't do it at all.
You just need Islam and trans people until you
I
get
can't
to go.
tell if this is a function of the camera angle, but you've got Joe Biden looking off camera
President Trump,
in a
and then
way
we'll
that
back to you.
Trump doesn't
For
have
1
to.
minute, I
And it
just
is the
wanna
way they
go
set
back
up
to
the
my
cameras, and
original
this is
question,
poor.
which is,
This is
are
a function
Putin's
of the people
terms
around
acceptable to
Biden
you?
not
Keeping the
understanding
territory in Ukraine.
some
No, they're
basic
not
concepts
acceptable.
about media.
But look, this is a war that never should
Where the
Who's
camera
winning and
placement
why?
is should have been, resolved, and they went through the walkthrough.
At some point in the last few weeks of
Who's winning and why? Not America. America is losing in this debate.
It's starting to hit me. Like,
When did you? What was the applause for, Omega Star?
we're in a bad situation.
I'm only saying.
And thank you for whatever that was for. But and where are the emotional support characters? Great question. They are not on this screen. We could go to the other screen and watch it there. We could switch it up. I just thought it'd be more fun to watch the debate in the Galactic UN auditorium.
I'm sure you will, buddy. I'm sure you will.
So stupidly.
You'll give Putin what he
I will
wants.
get it settled, and I'll get it settled
Before
fast
he's even
before I take
president?
office.
Yeah.
You know,
I've got some back
Why would you just
channels.
do that anyway
The
for
fact
the good
is
of the
that
world?
Putin is a war
Well,
criminal.
the same
He's
reason
killed
that he delayed the
thousands and
Afghanistan
thousands of
withdrawal
people.
until Biden came
And
into
he has
office.
made one thing clear. He wants to
America's
reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? Do you think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, and by the way, all that money we give Ukraine are from weapons we make here in the United States. We give them the weapons, not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced as much funding for Ukraine as we have. That's why we're strong.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle
At least
East.
that was somewhat
In
coherent.
October, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward
big
a
of Dana Bash to
proposal
admit that.
to resolve this
What number
conflict.
of Palestinians?
But so
Just
far,
thousands.
Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its
I like how you
military
can start
offensive
with
in
that
Gaza.
premise and still.
So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Trump will say
Number
genocide
one.
Joe.
Everyone from
No.
the United
That's-
Nations Security Council, straight through to the G7, to the Israelis, and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan I put forward. Endorsed the
The
plan.
Israelis have not endorsed
come
the plan.
everybody's
What is
endorsed
he
the plan?
talking
First
about?
stage is trade the hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas. Number one.
Oh my
Number one is
God.
Fuck you.
We're still pushing hard.
We all said,
wonder
"Oh
if
my
he's so
God!"
fast as he gets. I wonder if he's whispering like
It's
this so he
just so
doesn't wake
wildly
the
inaccurate.
Hamas representatives
Ugh.
who might hear what
They
he's
don't
saying.
work very well.
Like what? Like,
oh my God. For a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need. and
Oh,
when they need them.
good.
And by the way, I organized the world against Iran when they had a full-blown intercontinental ballistic ballistic missile attack on Israel. No
Wow.
one's hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed. And
The problem that Joe Biden has is that
support for Israel of anyone in the
this is
world.
all about
And
low
so
information
they're two
voters.
different things.
And
Hamas cannot be allowed to be continued. We continue to
this
send
stuff
them
is so weedy.
Yeah.
All they're
how
paying
they get
attention
Hamas
to
like we did
is
Bin Laden.
the tone
We
of
don't
his
have to
voice.
do it. And by the way, they've been
And
greatly
the
weakened
demeanors.
Greatly
I mean,
Absolutely.
this is that's what
It should
debates
be
are,
eliminated.
and this is going to.
Yeah, and that's the thing about
right
debates,
now,
right?
this
It really
juncture,
is about
in the
whether or not
debate,
you can
maybe it changes,
hold your own
but
and
the
project
spin on this is
confidence.
going to be
And
horrible for
We have
Biden.
an ocean separating us. The European nations together
can you get some emotional
have
support?
spent 100
So all the
billion,
support
or maybe
characters
more
are on
than
a
that,
different
less
page.
than us. Why doesn't he call them? So you got to put up your money.
But
like
I
did
will
with
be
NATO. I got
holding
them
on
to
to
put up
those support
hundreds of
characters
billions of dollars
for the
separate
regular
Why does
stream,
Joe
which we're
Biden
going to be
look
doing today.
at Trump as if like an alien is coming out of his chest? This is that's the look. Let's see.
Seriously,
This
seriously,
guy
though.
doesn't know anything.
do
Look.
that.
I like
He's
smirk.
getting all. You got to ask these
I
people
don't think
to
he
put
knows
up
how
the
to make
money.
that face.
We're over $100 billion more spent, and it has a bigger impact on them because of location. Because
just looks
we have an ocean
aghast.
in between. You got to ask
His
them,
mouth
as
has been
far as
open for
Israel
like
and
a good
Hamas.
20 minutes of this
Israel's
debate.
the one that wants to go. He said the only one who wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and
not
you
a
should
good
let him
look.
go and
Not
let him
gonna
finish the
lie.
job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like
What?
him because he's a very
He's
bad
become
guy.
like a
God, here we go.
Palestinian.
Now it's going to be
What's
who's
that
less
supposed to mean?
Palestinian in this.
What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
This is a guy who wants to get out of NATO. You're going to stay in NATO? He's going to pull out of NATO. The idea that we have.
If they didn't have the mute button, they could have had a back and forth.
It may be a big ocean, but we're ever able to avoid a war in Europe, a major war in Europe? What happens if, in fact,
See, me and Emma are on the same page here. I think this mute button was
we have an Article 5 agreement. Attack
badly
on one, attack on all.
thought
You want to start
through,
the nuclear war he
if
keeps
at
talking
all.
about. Go ahead, let Putin go in and control Ukraine, and then move on to Poland and other places. See what happens then. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about.
45% of Americans don't know where Poland is.
To support Ukraine, including Japan and South Korea, because they understand that this kind of dislocation has a serious
Lost
threat
South
to
Korea
the
and
whole
Israel,
world
though.
peace. No major war in Europe has ever been able to be contained just to Europe.
President Trump, just to follow up, would you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I'd have to see, but before we do that, the
What?
problem we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I made great
How much
trade
it
deals
costs.
with the European nations.
Wow.
Who's they?
Because if you add them up, they're
Yeah.
about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were no cars, they don't want anything that we have, but we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture.
I'm sorry.
I changed that.
What is he
But the
saying?
big
He's
thing I
saying that
changed is they don't wanna pay.
Palestinians need
And the
to
only reason
get into
that
some sort
he
of a
can
trade
play
agreement with
games
us
with
to
NATO is because I got
They
them to
gotta
put up
drive
hundreds of
Ford
billions of dollars.
cars or
I
something?
said,
What in the
and he's
fuck
right
is he
about this.
saying?
I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question. Would you guard us against Russia at a very secret meeting of the 28 states
Very
at that time,
secret
nations
meeting.
At that time. And they said, no, if
This
you
is,
don't
by the way, a
pay,
question about
I
whether or
won't
not
do
he'd
that." And you know
established
what
a
happened?
Palestinian state.
Billions
so.
and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next months. But now we're in the same position.
Thank you for
We're
reminding
paying
us, Emma.
everybody's
I almost
bills.
forgot,
Let's turn to the
considering just
issue of
how
democracy.
circuitous that answer
So
was.
Biden didn't answer?
I want to ask you about January 6,
Oh my
2021.
God.
After you rallied your supporters that day,
Better
some of
train.
them stormed the Capitol
Right,
to
here we
stop
go.
the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution.
I did.
What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe
Ooh,
that.
January
And let me
6th,
tell you
that's on
about
the bingo
January
cards.
6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy
beautiful
independent.
haiku.
On January
Haiku.
6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had
What?
the lowest regulations
really
ever.
fun?
On January 6th, we were
This is
respected
a
all
good,
over the
prepared
world.
answer
all
for
over
this.
the world, we were respected.
Going to
Just
ignore
so
everything he's
goddamn
saying.
dangerous.
And we're now laughed at.
Yeah,
We're like
that's absolutely
a
what
bunch
he's
of
doing.
Stupid people.
What about January
What
6th?
happened to the United States'
January 6th.
reputation under this
Might
man's
wanna-
The very
leadership
best day for
is
America.
horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
That's a real
30
thing.
seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say.
A filmmaker.
Oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor of, in writing, by the way,
a lie.
In writing, turned it down. The mayor of D.C. They turned it down.
The mayor of the Federal Trade Commission. What did he say?
I had virtually nothing
I
to
just
do. They
he's
asked me to go
totally
make a
lost.
speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be
Virtually
there on
nothing.
January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know
Good
what?
match.
There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too, and you could feel it. And I said,
It
they ought to
wasn't
have
an-
some
way
National
too big of a
Guard.
crowd
This is amazing.
size.
Wait, I've never heard him say
And
this.
she now admits that
He's
she turned it
claiming
down.
that he was
The
nervous
same
about what
day
would
she
happen on
was-
January 6th.
Which, knowing that, why would you
With
say,
the
hey,
daughter,
go
'cause it made
march,
her
I'll
into a
meet you
liar.
down
She
there.
said, I take full responsibility. for
He is now
January
saying
6th.
that he
Oh,
was
my
like,
God.
Well, they always
he was
kinda
a
wanted to
victim
blame
of
Wait, hold
January
on.
6th.
He encouraged those folks to go up on Capitol Hill, number one.
Facts.
I sat in the dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours. 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president
This
and
is
a
true.
number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop.
Our
to
mods are
end
better
it.
than the
Instead,
CNN
he
mods.
talked
That's
about these
true.
people being patriots.
It's
and-
just science.
And great patrons
Science.
of America. In fact, he says he'll now forgive them for what they've done. They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences and say that no. But he went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases.
You're listening to
Scores of cases,
Lacrimosa
including the Supreme
over
Court. And they said, no.
That's funny.
This guy is responsible
Little Mozart.
for doing what is being was done.
Wait, is
Didn't
that- is
do a
that
damn
Mozart?
thing.
Actually, it
And
might-
these
no,
people should be in
that's-
jail.
hold on.
And
I
they
have to-
should
I
be the
think
ones who are being held accountable. And he
Yeah.
wants to let them all out. And now he says if he loses again, such a whiner that he is, that it could be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Jesus.
Bloodbath?
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Wow.
What you've done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people.
Illegal.
When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities. You go to Minnesota.
Why didn't you just say, we all know what happened and he's a liar?
With fires all over the city.
guy- the military guy that tried to do
Biden's just not able to
should.
execute any of this stuff.
Exactly.
It would be more
That's just the
effective than
problem.
what he's been
They
doing
took
so
over
far.
big chunks of
I mean, I'm
Seattle.
just
I was all
imagining
set to bring
Kamala
in the National Guard. They heard
crushing
that. They
it
saw them coming
comparatively.
And they left
Honestly,
immediately.
This
What
is-
he said
this is
about
layup
the
shit.
whole
Problem.
This is
subject
layup
so
stuff.
Peacefully patriotic. One other thing.
I don't even think
The
Trump's doing that
Unselect
well.
Committee.
No, he's
exactly.
not.
That's
That's
why I
the
said-
thing. That's what I'm saying.
Right,
This is a
actually.
layup.
Yeah.
But for somebody whose both
And Democrats.
ankles are broken,
They destroyed and deleted all.
Yeah.
he can't go to the left. He can't go to the right.
Because
Both of his ankles are broken.
Seriously.
Whooped by the
And they
Washington
deleted
judge.
Because
and
he's
destroyed all of the information.
played to
They
the
should go
center
jail for that. If a
all
Republican
year.
did that, they'd go to
He has
jail.
no
President Trump,
idea
President Biden,
what
I wanna
he's
give you a
supposed to
minute.
do.
This is final
No person
season
on this
Peyton
stage is a
Manning.
convicted felon,
Democrats
this man
need to
I'm
have the
looking at
best
right
defense
now.
ever,
And the
honestly.
fact of the matter is, what he's telling you is
Of course,
simply not
Emma
true.
somehow worked
The
Peyton
fact
Manning
is
into
that
this discussion.
There was no effort on his part to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill. And all those people, every one of those who are convicted, deserves to be convicted. The
TMR
idea
is
that
live
they
on
didn't kill
TikTok.
somebody just went in and broke down
This was a
doors,
secret
broke the
link
windows,
to the stream
occupied
I
offices,
received
turned over desks,
and you're
turned over
utilizing
statues.
currently.
The idea that those people are patriots, come on. When I asked him the first two debates we had,
Andrew
the debates we
Avensky is
had
watching
the
this with
first time
tinfoil on her
around,
head.
I said, will you denounce the Proud Boys?
I should make
He said,
a
"No, I'll tell them
tinfoil
to
hat for
stand by."
myself.
The idea he's refusing, will you denounce these guys? Will you denounce the people we're talking about now? Will you denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have.
Oh, God.
After a jury convicted you of 34
actually, former
felonies last
President
month,
Trump.
you said if reelected, you would, quote,
Yeah.
have
Just
every
FYI.
right to go after, unquote,
It's-
your political
We
opponents.
want
You just talked about
accuracy from
members of
Jake
the Select
Tapper.
Committee on January 6th going to
Come
jail.
on.
Your
Come on,
main
Sam.
political opponent
It's not
is standing
happening.
on stage with you tonight.
Can you clarify exactly what it means?
Will he say
about
felon?
Feeling you have every right to go after your political
Can he say?
opponents?
Can he say felon yet?
Retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again because right now it's a failing
He still
nation.
hasn't said felon.
No, the way you say it is,
In what way
I'm not
isn't
going to
the
say
United
that
States
he's a
successful right
convicted
now?
felon, but I mean, he is. That's what you say. You do the Trump thing.
Going to be convicted probably numerous other times. God. Should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations.
Honestly, I feel like.
Did he say convicted first?
But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe
There you
could
go.
be a
I mean,
convicted
he
felon.
could
I
be.
miss it?
It could
No,
happen.
He's done horrible things. All of the death caused at the
Trump
the
said
border,
convicted felon first.
Telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo.
What?
That we're not gonna
You
do
said that
anything.
multiple
We're not gonna
times
give you $1
this
billion
year.
unless you change your prosecutor having to do with the son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, I'm coming right to you, sir. Well, you want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
The idea that I did anything wrong.
Don't look at him.
Is outrageous. It's simply a lie, number one.
Good.
Number two,
Stand up for
the idea
yourself.
that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before.
Yeah, he's
Number
not good at
three,
these.
The crimes that you are still charged with, and think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? I mean, what are you talking about?
What are you talking? I forgot.
Well,
Actually, I forgot that
That's
story.
actually the most
I remember
effective
now.
line he's ever
But
had,
what in the
frankly, in this entire debate.
That was a case that was started.
Should have been the first line of the debate.
Oh wait, okay. Biden maybe did say it
into the
first.
Manhattan DA's office to start
I'll delete
that
my
case.
tweet about
that case is going to be appealed and won.
Oh, that's what you were saying.
I want to make sure.
Horrible judge,
Whoopsie.
Democrat.
My
The
fact checkers
prosecutors
suck.
were all high-ranking
You should be ashamed of
Democrats
yourself for
appointed
having that
Why are
thought.
you tweeting? We're doing a show.
Sorry.
and the criminal. He basically
It's
went
the everything
after
app.
his
You
political
want it.
opponent
Oh, yeah,
because he thought
political
it was going to
opinion.
damage
Someone
people.
has a monkey
found
on
out
their
about
back.
these cases because they understand it better than he does. He has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out about these
I need more
cases, you know
wine.
what they did?
Oh, is she drinking wine out of that
You know
cup?
that because you're reporting it. And we took in more money in the last
There you go.
weeks
There you go.
than we've
Actually,
ever taken
the
in
poll
from
numbers
history
actually went
across
down.
Any campaign, I don't think
I mean,
any campaign has ever
he
taken
just
hundreds of
said
millions of
something
dollars
to
by
the
pouring in
CNN
because the
host.
public
My
knows
poll
it's a
numbers went
scam,
up after
and
I
it's a
got
guy that's
convicted.
after his political
They
opponent
should
'cause
probably
he
say,
can't win
actually,
fair and
that's
square.
not true.
Thank you, President Trump. President
That would require
Biden, you
them.
have said, quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are
They are
determined to destroy
so
American
studious in
democracy.
trying to pretend like
Do you
they're not
believe
there.
that
I
the
think
tens of millions
this
of
is
Americans
like
who are likely to vote for President
this is
Trump
like me in
will be
a
voting against American
relationship, like
democracy?
completely disassociated. That's what
what
it's
he's
like.
done.
They are. They're just,
That checks out.
just completely pretending like they're not
Checks
there.
out.
He's got a lot of cases around there.
It's probably too much. Maybe I should hold off. I mean,
It's a great metaphor.
Thanks for taking
but
the.
people get what I'm saying. at
Thanks for
least.
taking the heat off me.
Yeah,
for a
you're
second.
welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Could you ever think you heard any president say that I'm going to seek retribution?
At least we can
President say
laugh
that
still.
he thought he'd write some good
Speak
ideas.
up.
What got me involved
Jesus
in the
Christ.
first place after my son had died, I decided.
Why are you whispering?
I said I wasn't going to run.
I don't want anybody else to hear this,
What
but
happened in Charlottesville, Virginia? People coming out
Seriously
of the
though,
woods
Sam
carrying
is dead on
swastikas.
about this. I feel like I've been saying it this whole time. The actual energy that Biden is exuding is one of like an elderly
And the young woman got killed by
caretaker of like a funeral home or something, telling you the worst possible news. But he's had a real long day. And it's just it is so frustrating.
Nobody's ever heard of.
Fine grained details.
Like, we do this for a living. They spent the whole time on Gateway Pundit and tried to get their talking points. Like, who cares?
We're fine people.
Talk big
This
picture.
is the guy who says Hitler's done some good things. I'd like to know what they are. The good things Hitler's done, that's what he said.
Yes,
This
okay.
guy has no sense of American democracy.
Did he say that?
Well, I guess we'll hear.
Jake, both of you know that story has been totally wiped out because when you see the sentence, it said
Write it out.
100% exoneration on this. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance.
Close your mouth.
He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency, he's without question the worst president, the worst presidency in the history of our country.
Everything is either the best or the worst. There's never been a middle ground in anything in Trump's
place. Every anchor has, every reasonable anchor has debunked it. And just the other day it came out where it was fully debunked. It's a nonsense story. He knows that, and he didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that as an excuse to run.
President Biden?
And debunked. It happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time.
Yeah.
And the idea
this is
that
like
somehow that's the only reason I
he's
ran.
forgetting
I ran because I was
who
worried
he's
if I was
talking
just
to.
get elected. If he thought they were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those woods, carrying those torches, then he didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve to be president at all.
Forest.
And the idea that all this being fabricated, we saw with our own eyes. We saw what happened on January 6th. We saw the people breaking.
Oh my God! Seriously though.
His own vice president. Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 44 top cabinet officers refused to endorse him.
Yeah, but dude, why you bring this up at 9:51?
So why? Why? They know him well.
This is what you bring up at 9:10.
Why are they not endorsing him?
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right back with more from the CNN.
Oh my God!
Woof! This is rough.
All right, folks. Let's turn their volume.
This is rough, everybody. The Tiki Forest gathering, seriously. Oh my fucking God. I genuinely don't want to see Joe Biden do this poorly, but he's just not focusing on the right fucking stuff. And even when he is, he's either not looking at the camera, he's looking just anywhere that other than where he's supposed to be looking. It's just wild. Get Biden some code red stat. Exactly. He needs more Mountain Dew. He needs more Mountain Dew.
Look.
Not if they take Sunset Lake 70.
Honestly, all I've been doing.
They're plugging.
They sent the samples
Sunset
of the
Lake
soft gels that are about to come out. We're not even promoting those yet, and I'm literally just like candy at this point.
You know, speaking of promotions, you know what you all could technically do if you really enjoy this stream? Well, you could become a Galactic patron. That's right. That's right. Just by going to this link in chat, where some amazing space benefits await you. Stuff like sweet pics and gifts. Well, things that you might consider sweet and others might consider sweet. As you can see here in front of you, where you have all of our Patreon contributors adding to this scene. Just throwing it out there since we're all doing promotionals.
Carceral reform, food pantries, mutual aid in the wake of the Vermont floods. And they also have great farming practices, like I said, regenerative farming that they have worked on with the University of Vermont. They use integrated pest management, so they
shagging a porn star while your wife is pregnant plays to conservative
corrected me that sometimes
women.
You can use IPC and not.
Wait, in which way? You think that they like that?
They do.
I mean, I'm honestly
both IPC and.
I'm trying to think. Let's see the emotional support screening. The emotional support screen. Well, I unfortunately have not yet added your emotional support characters yet. I know we have 2 that are supposed to be incoming. There's a 13. That's what the fuck? That's 2 13s in a row and a 20. 13 and a 20. Oh wow, this is weird. These are like the same characters we had yesterday. That is wild. How does that even happen? How does that even just give you Sam? You just want Sam? You know what? I'm having fun. We're all having fun here. Free Sam. Free Sam for everyone. It's back. There must be a delay. Oh, I've just I paused it for a second.
Gummies during this?
That's what happened. They accidentally gave Biden the sleep gummies.
Honestly, they did. But honestly, the good night oil is a great way to go to sleep. So we're coming back. But check it out, sunsetlakesebede.com. Use the coupon code Left is Best. You get 20% off.
And you'd certainly face again in a second term. President Biden
Doubled the Sam,
while
and he's in the same.
to a
There's a picture
record low
of Sam.
under your presidency, black
Sam.
families still earn far less than white families. Black mothers are still
Oh, it's
3
amazing.
times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes.
How
and
did
black
this happen?
Americans are in prison
President
at
Biden,
5
you have
times
not
the rate
fixed
of
systemic
white Americans.
racism
What do you say to
in this
black
country.
voters who
Why
are
not?
disappointed that you haven't made more progress?
Former President Trump, you used black people as literally as a leverage point for your voters.
Speaking of, is he going to announce his VP tonight?
Black unemployment is the lowest level.
Didn't he say he would?
He said that he'd be president.
Oh.
We're providing housing for black Americans and dealing with the segregation that exists among these corporations that collude to keep people out of their houses. And in addition to that, we find that
You know, it would have been a great time to say he had a consent order to actually allow black people into his apartments.
that black families have to make relative
Jesus.
to child.
Yeah, that's right.
not in
That
the,
did happen.
Incredibly
That's
difficult.
not the random access
When we
memory.
did the first major piece of legislation in the past, I was able to reduce black child care costs. I cut them in half. We got to make sure we provide for child care costs. We got to make sure, because when you provide those child care protections, you increase economic growth because more people can be in the job market. So there's more to be done, considerably more to be done. But we've done a great deal so far, and I'm not letting up, and they know it.
You have 49 seconds left. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed with the progress so far?
I say I don't blame them for being disappointed. Inflation is still hurting them badly. For example, I provided for the idea that any black family, first-time home buyer, should get a $10,000 tax credit to be able to buy their first home so they can get started. I made sure that we're in a situation where all those black families and those black individuals who provided had to take out student
tax
loans
credit
that were ballooning, that if they were engaged in nursing,
some weak ass shit.
and anything having to do with volunteerism, if they paid their bills for 10 years on their student debt, all the rest is forgiven after 10 years. Millions have benefited from that, and we're going to do a whole lot more for black families.
Thank you, President Trump.
And he caused the inflation. He's blaming inflation, and he's right, it's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people.
How do you not mention the fact that Donald Trump spent almost 3/4 of his presidency demonizing black people? Kaepernick, just on and on and on.
Shithole countries.
Shithole country. I can't even remember all the names. Like every time a black person was in the news.
It doesn't even cross his mind.
That Gold Star family.
All this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation.
It's like
as sure as
we
you're
all
sitting
forget
there,
all the crazy shit Trump
fact
did,
is
but he
that
should have
his
known.
big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now.
You know,
I
thought at one point before this debate that
they're taking Hispanic
these
jobs,
rules
and you haven't
had
seen
been
it
well
yet,
thought
but
through.
You're going to see
No.
something that's going to be
No,
the
it's
worst
not.
in our history.
It sounds
No.
like Castro or someone.
There was no
responded to this.
inflation when I became president. You know why? The economy was flat on its back. 15% unemployment.
Better.
He decimated the economy, absolutely decimated the economy. That's why there was no inflation at the time. There were no jobs. We provided thousands of millions of jobs for individuals who were in all communities, including minority communities. We made sure that they have
There
health
were no
insurance.
jobs
We
until
have
Joe Biden got
covered-
into
the
office.
ACA has increased. I
My
made
daughter
sure
is
that
calling me, and I can only
$8,000
imagine
per
what she's
person in
trying
a
to tell
family
me.
to get written off for health care. But this guy wants to eliminate that. They tried 50 times. He wants to get rid of the ACA again, and they're going to try again if they win. You find ourselves in a position where the idea that we're not doing any, we put more police on the street than any administration
Oh,
has.
God.
He wants to cut the cops.
Who is he
We're
trying to
providing
talk to right now?
equity and making sure people have
4 years out from George Floyd's
There's a
murder.
lot going on, but in inflation, he caused it by his
Oh,
tremendous
God.
malfeasance in the way he handled the pandemic.
Thank you. Another persistent challenge is the climate crisis. 2023 was the hottest year in recorded history, and communities across the country are confronting the devastating effects of extreme heat, intensifying wildfires, stronger hurricanes, and rising sea levels. Former President Trump
I'm pretty sure the second debate is
your
Fox.
opponent's climate initiatives, but will you take any action as president to slow the climate
Moderators
crisis?
Let me just go back to what he said about the police, how close the police are to him. Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump.
That's why you don't run to this side.
And what he's done to the black
Exactly.
population is horrible,
Exactly.
including the fact
Because,
that for 10
like,
years he called them
why
super
would-
predators.
as
We
a-
can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget
supposedly,
that was his name. And he called it to
you
him
know,
for 10, and
well,
they've
I
taken
can't
great
even
offense
say
at it,
left. It
and now
was
they
supposedly
see
That was
liberal.
Hillary. You got confused.
Kanye, why are you doing? Why are you trying to win that?
Colleges and
Who
universities
who loves the police more?
That's the
You
thing.
know,
Trump is not sharp at all, but he looks like
Tim,
obsidian
as you know,
compared
Tim
to
Scott
wrong
was incredible. He did a
fucking
great job. Great senator from South Carolina. He came to
Dancing
me
at the
with
war-
the
as the
idea
Let me just tell you right
it's
now,
one of the most successful
I am looking at my
economic
Twitter
development
feed,
acts
and
ever in
almost
the country.
every
Opportunities are-
single tweet, and of course I curate this Twitter feed, right? Almost every single tweet is saying this is a disaster. Biden is okay. And then
Is that
I
true?
get to Frank
I'm not
Luntz,
shocked to see
who
that.
I follow because
That's a hate follow.
it's a hate follow.
It's a hate follow.
Honestly, just every single person, people I don't even like who I follow, people who I think are lunatics who I follow, all saying almost the exact same thing.
It's a disaster.
Then I get to Frank Luntz. My group of undecided voters are moving away from Trump as he gets more and more vicious towards Biden. They complain that this sounds like a senior citizen bingo hall argument.
Absolutely clean.
It does sound like
But the
that.
idea that people are moving away from Trump because of this, I just want to like caution people.
Hope you're right, Frank.
I just want to caution people. Like
and yet during my 4 years,
I look at this
had
and I
the
think
best
disaster.
environmental
Me too.
numbers
I just got
ever.
two DMs from people that I follow that are my friends from New York sports.
No.
This is tough is the last DM I got, and Biden is shitting the bed is the
Oh,
the other
God.
DM I got from them.
There is no
I passed the most extensive,
the amount of
climate change
information strains that come into me at any given point from all different things is just I don't think the average person can understand.
But like seriously though, like what are the Democrats, like the strategists and all of the campaign people thinking right now about the way forward now with the way that this is going down? It looks terrible. It looks really bad, and it's all on appearances, right? People are shallow as fuck when it comes to these things, right? And the people who aren't immersed in the politics of it all are left questioning what the fuck they're even talking about, and this is not going this is not going well. There's something else I was gonna say, but I'm getting distracted. Oh God, whatever.
And
My daughter's writing me stuff now, and she's just
because they treat us horribly. We were the only ones. It was costing us money. Nobody else was paying into it, and it was a disaster. But everything that he said.
She doesn't
just
know
now,
I
I'll
have
give you
a
an example. I
YouTube
heard him
show.
say
Right.
before
So
insulin.
you wouldn't know
I'm the
that
one
I'm
that got
doing
the
this.
insulin
You're
down
live.
for the seniors. I took care of the seniors. What he's doing is destroying all of our medical programs because the migrants coming in, they want everybody.
Who's Biden?
And look,
Look
I have the biggest heart on the stage. I guarantee you that. And I wanna take care of
Okay,
our
and your
people.
hands are very
Destroying
big
our
too. We
country.
know.
Wow,
They're
the
taking over our
biggest.
schools, our hospitals.
I
and they're going
don't
to be taking
think
over
so.
Social Security. He is destroying Social Security,
All right,
Medicare.
Biden, regardless of what the question is, just say I'm not going to answer that. I need to talk about Social
The
Security.
idea is that we, in fact,
No, that's not happening.
We were the only ones of consequence who were not members of the Paris Accord. How can we do anything?
Dude, talk about Social Security. Nobody gives a shit.
He didn't address that, by the way.
One of the largest polluters in the world, number one. We're making significant progress. By 2035, we will have cut pollution in half. We have made significant progress.
Hey,
and we're continuing to make
everybody
progress.
here,
We
at
set
least
up a
you
climate
got
corps
climate
for
change
thousands of young people who learn how
on
to
your
deal
bingo
with that,
cards.
just like
So
Peace
congrats
Corps.
on that.
And we're moving in directions that are going to
we don't want to tell
significantly
people
change
in
the
a way
elements of
that they
cause
can
of
hear
pollution.
about it.
But the idea that he claims that he has the biggest heart up here, and he's really concerned about.
So if Trump wins again, we're
pollution
like,
and about
we
climate,
could get locked
I've
in
not seen
jail.
any indication of that.
It's
And by
occurred
the
to me
way,
that it
with
wouldn't be a
regard
good
to
time for us.
Prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world.
Well, that's why we let Pac-Man. That's why we let Pac-Man get more subscribers than us.
Run along, every day, millions of Americans struggle.
Wait, Michael Brooks said this would happen. When did he? When did he predict this exact scenario? That is quite impressive.
Always better to be number two,
Over 10 years. Will you
Should
name
maybe do some
tonight one
preparation shows
specific
on
step that you're willing to take to
organizing
keep
for the
Social
Trump.
Security solvent?
Yes, make the
Get
very
some stuff
wealthy
in the
begin to
can.
pay their fair share.
You know,
right now, everybody making
what this is going to
$170,000
impact is it's going to impact the
of their
media
income,
narrative.
of their paycheck.
So
Every
what
single
ended
time they get a
with
paycheck
the
from
State of the
first one they
Union,
get,
the whole
they're
narrative
18
about
years old. The
Biden
idea
being
that
too
they're
old is going to start up again.
I'm proposing that everybody, they pay, the millionaires pay 1%. 1%. So no one after, I would not raise the cost of Social Security for anybody under $400,000. After that, I began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share.
Because it's too complicated to explain.
That's my point.
It's hard to listen
Exactly.
to. No,
Exactly.
I know.
Dude,
He's
just say I'm
struggling
going
to
to
get
pretend
some
I
these
am for
sentences
Social
out.
Security. The Democrats have always been for Social Security. The fact that he's talking about Social Security is a joke. This party has been, talk about the Republicans. This party has been against Social Security since 1936. Even longer than I've been alive. That's what he has to say. That's how long.
Obama would have smoked Trump.
And the fact is that Joe Biden, of all people, should know these talking points. In and out. He's been in Congress. He's been in government for, what, 50 years?
Republicans have been against Social Security longer than I've been alive, and that's a long time, folks. I mean, that's it. You just won the entire election. Because you just showed that you can actually have a sense of humor about how frickin' old you are.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you win the entire election. That's a little bit
situation where I
hyperbole.
talk about education for black communities, I've raised the amount of money for Pell Grants.
How did we get here?
For anybody
I
making
don't
under
know.
Democrats love Pell Grants.
I mean, I guess we could
$15,000
kind of try to unpack it.
They love Pell Grants.
I just can't quit
Where did
you,
it
Pell
start?
Grants.
I've dealt with politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never
What?
seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen that he could look you in the face. So about
This is
so
not a
many other
good
things, too.
tactic for him.
You mentioned
To
the
go
lie.
down this lies war thing.
Hey, who's gonna? Yeah, no, seriously.
Everything he
Trump,
does is a lie.
whose supporters
It's
like that he
misinformation
lies so
and
much is now
disinformation.
saying
This
this guy's
This
more
guy is
dishonest.
always lying.
Biden
He
exaggerates
lies even more than
things
me.
more than anyone who has
It's
ever
Not
lived
at all.
in the history of the
Way more
world.
than
Oh, it's a
anybody on the
crucial part
face of
of
the
your
earth.
market
Because
Mm-hmm.
millions of people are pouring into our country, and they're putting them onto Social Security. They're putting them onto Medicare,
This is
Medicaid.
absolutely
They're putting them
not
in our
true. I mean, it's not even
They're taking the
sensical.
place of our citizens.
The idea
They're-
that we have a
what they're
ton
doing
of
to
senior
the VAs
citizens
who are
coming
veterans
into
is
this country
unbelievable. Our veterans are
is
living in the
absurd.
street, and these people are living in
The idea that we have like
I thought it
67-year-old.
was on military-age males.
Me too.
Military age males. That's right. That's what I
That's
heard.
I mean, that's the amazing thing about it is that, like, in fact, these people are contributing to Social Security and will not draw from it because they're not citizens.
Yeah.
They're paying into
That's
it to pretend
that's
they're
too
citizens,
complex.
but they can't pull out because their Social Security numbers are.
He's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it, number one. Number two, the idea that we're going to be in a situation where all these millions and millions, the way he talks about it, illegal aliens are coming into the
Stop
country.
letting him define every frickin' thing you say.
Seriously, that's what I was about to say.
the reason why we have the most successful economy in the world. We're doing better than any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureates he talked about being phony, those 15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession and inflation is going to increasingly go up. And by the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted him the
that
worst
red tomato
president
look.
in the history of the United States of America.
President Biden, thank you so much. Let's turn to the cost of child care, which many American families struggle to afford. President
scholars
Trump,
said
you
it?
and President Biden
No, there's
tried
no
to
way.
address this issue. But the average cost of child care in this country has risen to more than $11,000
All scholars from now until the beginning of time agree with Donald Trump.
Child care for 2 children is more than their rent. In your second term, what would you do to make child care more affordable?
Just to go back, the general got fired because he was no good. And if he said
Trump hasn't
that's
answered
why he
a
made
single
it up.
question
But we have
correctly.
19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly
And that's the
respected.
thing, is that
He's
like,
doing it, which is the right way. Pivot away from
well, and the thing is that Tapper and Dana Bash are pretending like they're they literally could have pre-recorded all of their questions.
Oh yeah.
Just cut to that pre-recorded because they're not responding to anything that they're saying.
It's barely moderated so far.
It's not moderated. It's just a series of questions.
No, seriously. And this is just a continuation of CNN's sort of programming. You know, they've increasingly continued to try and cultivate a right-wing audience for, I think we all know why, for the profit motive. And so they are attempting to, you know, just avoid appearing to be at all
we don't really buy into
journalism.
I don't buy into that, but I think that is the
moderating
conventional
debate.
wisdom. I think actually it did when he wasted time and did nothing for about a year while waiting to get the Build Back Better going.
But look,
did nothing. There was a vacuum essentially, and it was all about the Republicans coming in and Portman and Cinema coming in and
a nothing deal.
If anybody wants to go back and listen to our shows at that time, we were complaining about that pretty much every single day. I remember the picture they took in front of the White House.
Honestly, I was watching parts of the 2020 debate earlier.
The idea that one day
I'm pretty sure NCC was the one. Yeah, NCC was watching parts of the 2020 debate. It was like much more substantive than this debate has been, to be honest, which is shocking to me.
The problem is that like there was a lot of people invested in that being the reason.
I just got this message again from somebody who's a sports writer. The mics being cut has been so huge for Trump. It makes him look more in control. I hate it.
It does. It
No
does.
one thinks we're weak. No one.
It's exactly right. That's what we were saying the whole time.
Number one. Number two, the idea that we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up or go online. 159 or 58,
Yeah, we got
don't
it,
hold me
Joe,
the
about
exact
the
number.
Constitution, guys.
Presidential historians, they've had meetings and they voted who was the worst president in American history. One through best to worst.
This is how you know
They
this
said he
guy
was
talks
the
to
worst
John
in
Meacham
all
like
of
3 to 5 times a month.
Right, but I mean, but honestly, right now is the most animated he's been the entire night, and it's like,
slow release.
dude, what's going on? Did they not did the injection, whatever it is? Like,
Democrats wasted that first year where they had massive momentum. They didn't just waste that first year.
He's getting fired up thinking about Michael Bench.
Like the powerful people in the Democratic Party spent that first year trying to punish the left of the party, the progressives, for that first year for ever having suggested that they didn't support Joe Biden in the primaries, you know?
I thought he was saying something different.
I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire, so everybody,
Manchin should have been thrown out of the party.
4 to 5 times.
Didn't he? He
Nobody ever
left
heard
the
of this
party.
before.
Including the two of you.
He left the party,
You're
right?
also
Like a month ago.
millionaires, incidentally. I want you to know, you guys are millionaires 5 times
Oh
over.
no, Jake
War
Tapper's paying
business,
more
Apple
taxes.
and all these companies, they were bringing money.
I mean, this is where a
worst
Senate
president in history by far,
candidate
and
would
everybody
say
knows
A replacement level Democrat.
a replacement level Democrat jump and go like,
he's
I
dead
get
wrong about
news
he's
for you.
increased the
With all due
tariff. He's
respect,
increased-
Jake
he
and
will
Dana,
increase
you guys
the,
are not the people I'm
taxes
worried
on
about.
Middle class people. I said I'd never raise a tax on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't. But this tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything coming in the country, you know what the economists say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year.
Why is he
more
talking about the
because they're gonna have to
tariffs
pay the
as a
difference
negative?
in food and all the things that we're
Hold on, why is he talking about the tariffs as a negative and as if something is specific to Trump? He's continued those tariffs and increased the tariffs. We've talked about this time and time again, multiple instances of this in just the last 4 months where he's increased tariffs.
over the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally bankrupt the country.
Tax
You
cut
have the
for who?
largest deficit of any president in American history, number one. Number two, you have not, in fact,
it's actually number
made
4.
any contact, any progress with China. We are the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you,
We're at the
President
highest.
Biden.
You lost
Yeah,
the-
thank you, President Biden.
Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans that both of you have
Thank
made
you,
a top
Grandpa.
priority in your first term.
Thank you, thank
The
you.
opioid crisis. And for both of you,
Have a nice cube.
the number of overdose deaths in this country has
There's not
gone
enough
up.
pizza I
Under
can eat
your
right
term,
now.
it went up. Under your term, it has gone
Makes me feel
up.
better.
Former
I should have
President
bought
Trump,
pizza.
despite
I
the
should have brought
efforts
you
that both of
something
you
sweet,
have
Sam.
made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help
What's in there?
Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
To finish up, we now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy.
What is
We have
it?
the largest deficit with China.
I just
He
forgot
gets paid
about
by
it.
China.
Didn't he
He's a
just get done
Manchurian
saying the
candidate. He gets
opposite?
money from China. We have, so I think
Can
he's
I
afraid
Call
to
Biden a
deal with them
Manchurian
something.
candidate,
I have
by the
some.
way.
Do you notice he
All right,
never
all
took
right.
out non-tariffs because we bring in so much money with the
dark
tariffs
chocolate
that I
peanut
imposed on
butter-
China.
peanut cup-
He never
butter
took them
cups.
away. He can't
Went to
because
Trader
it's too
Joe's.
much money.
People from China, they
It's
love me.
tremendous. And we saved our steel industries,
Thank you.
and there was
Isn't
more
the
to come.
Manchurian
But he
candidate-
hasn't done
Send
that.
him over to the
But he hasn't cut the tariffs
I don't wanna
because he
throw
can't,
it. It's
because it's
open
too
now.
much
Please
money.
don't. We got two
But
new
he's got
gaming
the
PCs
largest
over here.
deficit in the
Isn't
history
Well, I
the
hope
of
everybody's having
Manchurian
fun.
candidate that moved
I know
for a
that this
guy
is painful.
planned
worst
assassin-
situation
is
with
to be
China.
assassinated,
China's going
right?
to own us if
It's
you
painful
allow
for all
Joe
of
Biden's
us.
to do
Manchurian.
I
what they're
am-
doing to us
Well,
as a
Manchurian
country.
candidate
They
is
are
actually,
killing
like,
us as
inserted
country,
by a
Joe,
foreign
and you
power.
can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
Right, okay.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the throes of
rewatch that
addiction
movie.
right now who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
Jake, we were doing very well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost 3
I don't
years
know
of
if
like
That's
nobody
actually
ever
a
had
completely
before.
not true at all.
The
Everywhere.
geriatriarchy.
And then we had to get tough, and it was
The
drugs
opioid epidemic
pouring
was at
across
its
the
height
border
during his
were-
presidency.
Yeah.
It started to increase. We got great equipment. We bought the certain dog that's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot
See,
it.
this is why
We
it's
did a lot.
Christy
We
Nome would
had-
kill
we
it.
were getting
This is insane,
very
too.
low numbers, very, very low numbers.
best
Then he
dog
came
ever.
along.
Where do you
The
buy a
numbers-
certain
have you
dog?
seen
I
the
mean, it's
numbers
like,
now?
what
It's
was
not
that
only
dog
the
doing
18
before
million
then?
people that I believe is even low because the gotaways, they don't even talk about gotaways. But the numbers of the amount of drugs and human trafficking in women coming across our border, the worst
Not
thing
that
I've
I would
ever
know anything
seen.
about that.
At numbers that nobody's
I
ever
know
seen
nothing
underhand
about
because the
that. Not
border's
my
so
wife
bad.
or any of that.
Not at any of my
The number
hotels.
of
That
drugs
would never
coming
happen
across our border
anywhere.
now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President
He's
Trump,
never
thank you,
had
President
sex
Biden.
for money.
Fentanyl and the byproducts of fentanyl went down for a while.
Definitely don't
And I
overlook
wanted
that
to
at all
make
my
sure we use
hotel
a
properties.
machinery that can detect
Easy
fentanyl.
guess.
These big machines that roll over everything that comes across the border. And it costs a lot of money. That was part of this deal. We
The
put together a
geritocracy?
bipartisan
Wait,
deal.
are we talking
More
about
fentanyl
Jerry
machines,
or
Folks who watched the
I'm confused
inaugural
now.
TikTok
more
live stream
numbers
last night, I did say
of
I am
agents, more
worried
numbers
with
of
all of the.
all the people at the border.
Wait, you did an inaugural
we had
TikTok
that-
I had to go
live
live
stream
for
last night?
25 minutes
He
before we could do
called
their
us
OBS.
Republicans
Oh, is that right?
don't
Yeah.
do it.
Oh, wow.
It's gonna hurt
Oh,
you.
just to establish?
Yeah.
He never argued.
Oh,
it's not a
excellent.
good
And
deal.
I predicted
really good
that.
deal.
I think
We need
that like
those machines.
if I'm Crowder,
We need
I'm
those
like
machines.
I'm saying that I'm
We're coming
worried that
down
Biden's
very
going to look
hard
really
in
good,
every
but I
country
think he's going to
in
look
Asia
bad.
in terms of
Yeah.
America.
I thought he'd do way better. I thought he'd actually do well in this debate. I was so
wrong. Yeah, I was with Emma on that one. I was also at least moderately optimistic about his chances in this, and he is just.
That's what I'm curious about.
Matt
Stoller.
This does pertain.
Oh, well,
to it.
I mean,
he ended Remain in Mexico.
Are you on
He
Twitter?
ended catch and release.
I'm looking
catch and release
at,
in Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so many things that we had done, hard
Catch and release like
negotiations
it's
with
goddamn
Mexico, and I
fish.
got it all for nothing. It's
Yeah.
just like when you have a hostage. We always pay $6 billion for a hostage. Every time we say there's a hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter, I think a good guy. And
In Russia?
he's over
Or
there
not a
because
good
Putin
guy?
is laughing at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars.
This is a recent
for
thing
the
Trump has been
reporter.
harping
I
on
will
that
have him out
Ann Coulter,
very
CNN
quickly,
moderators
as
are
soon as I take
surprisingly
office,
great,
before
not
I-
wildly unfair.
Literally,
Of course.
As soon as I
Of
went in,
course.
Oh, if you're a
They're
CNN
doing
moderator
They're
getting
not actually
compliments
like
from Ann
responding
Coulter,
to. They're not
question
adding
everything,
any
please.
type of
Because this guy
reality
pays it
to the
every time.
situation.
We had 2 cases. We paid $6 billion.
But this thing
for
that
5
Trump is
people.
talking about is a recent thing he's
58
deployed
people
on
out,
True
and I
Social,
paid
basically
essentially
saying
nothing.
if you
It's
support
3:20
supporting
a.m.
me
Let's turn to
is
concerns
conditioned
that
upon
both
I
have
will
and
release
each
Evan
of you.
Gershkovich from
420
President
somewhere in
Biden,
Europe.
You would be
the
86
Wall Street Journal person
at
who's in
the
prison
end
over
of
there.
your second term. How do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world?
But seriously, if you're Dana
well into
Bash
your 80s?
and you're getting compliments from Ann Coulter, you should be ashamed of yourself, okay?
Being criticized being the youngest person in politics. I was
This
the second
doesn't
youngest
work
person
well right now.
ever elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I
We are
think
all
that
dumber
look
now
what
for
I've-
watching
Look what I've
this.
done. Look how I've turned around the horrible
Does feel
situation
like
he
that.
left me. As I said, 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought off a lot of people. Well, the whole idea of computer chips. We used to have 40% of the market. We invented those chips.
Came up with the
And we
whole
lost
idea of
it
computer
because
chips?
he was sending people to,
Yep.
to find the cheapest jobs
Biden
overseas
came up with it.
and to bring home a product.
We,
So I went
you,
to
me,
South
and
Korea.
Biden.
I convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States, and they're, guess what? Those fabs they call that to build these chips. Those
Fabulous.
fabs pay over $100,000. You don't need a college degree for them, and there's billions.
This is
about
so
$40
difficult.
They're investing in the
billion
United
already
States.
being
If you
invested
check
Via
out
chips.
if
in the
you
United
if you
States,
check
creating
out
significant
Daniel
jobs
Dale, the
for Americans
CNN
all over
fact
from
checker,
all over the
Uh-huh.
world.
he's fact
President
checking
Biden, you
this
have
debate,
40 seconds left.
and it's
Would you
just
like to add
brutal
Yeah, I
for
would.
Trump.
The idea
But-
that
I'm sure.
Oh, the fact checker.
I'm
did.
sure.
But they're
Yeah.
not putting it.
failing
They're not
country.
including it with the
Never
debate.
talk like this
Of course not. Why
We're-
would you do
we're
that?
the envy of the world.
That would be too
Maybe the
convenient.
single major
Can't have
country
facts at a
president
debate.
Wouldn't trade places with the United States of America for all our problems and all our opportunities. We're the most progressive country in the world in getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're a country in the world who keeps our word, and everybody trusts us. All of our allies and our those who he cuddles up to, from
Having
Kim Jong-un,
existential
sends love letters
crisis
to
because of
Putin,
this
et cetera.
debate. Do I want to bring
They don't
children
wanna
into this
screw around
world?
with us.
Thank you. Former President Trump,
All right,
to
I wanna
follow
think
up,
about
you
it.
will be 82 at the
We
end
just
of your
canceled
second
Emma's
term.
maternity.
What do you say about your concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I
Oh,
took 2 tests,
God.
cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them.
Oh,
as you
my
know.
God.
We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first.
Oh, we're
5
doing
questions. He
cognitive
couldn't
tests
do it.
now?
But I took
Okay.
2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year, and
And I had
may
a
have wood,
full-on.
but I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart. and
Did you
have
just
to be
say
able
he
to
won
hit
a
the ball
mental
long way.
championship?
And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards.
Whoa,
He challenges me to
Oh, he can't hit a ball 50 yards?
I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm in good shape.
Nobody can
as I
golf
was
like me.
You can't even hit a ball 50 yards.
Mistake.
Very stupid.
as good a shape as I was years ago. I
If
feel very
Biden
good.
doesn't say at this
Cognitive
point,
test.
I don't give a shit
Shooting
about
a
golf. I care about the
full
American
round of
public.
golf.
Like honestly, like this is
Dr.
this
Ronnie
is
Jackson,
layup after
great
layup
guy
after
when he was
layup.
White House doctor, and then I took another one.
This
a
is
similar
Game
one.
4 of the
Both-
Celtics
one of them
versus
said
the
they'd never seen
Mavs.
anybody ace him.
Even
Basketball.
Drew Holiday's missing all those
He gets
layups.
Wow.
6'5" and only 220.
Sam with a sports reference, a current sports reference. That's unexpected.
Well, you said 6'4".
That is. I was expecting something from the
seriously-
80s.
Hey, Biden,
Anyway,
how about not?
Just take a look at what he says he is, and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him.
Are you serious, you idiot?
Oh my
God
God! Old
damn it,
man
dude.
should not. He
Down
can
to
never run
6.
for president.
This is a
And,
disaster.
by the way,
Why?
I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
Okay, that's not the worst.
He's a 6 handicap of all
Oh my effing God.
Oh my
I'm moving to
God.
Canada.
The
I can't Jesus. Seriously?
This is embarrassing.
Seriously?
This is embarrassing.
All right, I'm starting to agree. We should replace Biden with Hillary. She would have answered that question fucking better than him.
Will accept
right?
Is there anybody who wouldn't have answered that question better at this point? Honestly.
Right now that political
Did you just say
violence
Hillary?
Eric Adams would have done a better job.
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And
Oh,
if you would see
no.
my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen.
Can't
In
believe you
addition
just
to the
said I
speech
can
made
golf
in
better
front of,
than
I
you.
believe, the largest
Jesus.
crowd I've
Like,
ever spoken to.
least
Jesus.
relatable
Nobody ever
thing.
talks
No, he
about
can't
that. They talk
also.
about
But
a
also,
relatively
like,
small number of
and-
people
yeah.
that went to
shit,
the
are
Capitol,
you
and
kidding
in
me?
many
I'm not
cases
thinking
were
about
ushered in
golf.
by the
Exactly.
I was
police.
joking when I said that.
Make him look like John Kerry.
Cognizant.
Exactly.
Oh God.
Is there a more
So
like
painful.
is there a single person who's going to vote for Joe Biden who
Because
plays
of
golf
this.
that earnestly, like in the entire country, like a single person?
Many places enjoying
Like
myself.
the Pod Save America guys are tweeting, why are we talking about effing golf? Like nobody.
Because he
No, we're gonna.
because I was his opponent. I wish
This
he
is a
was
disordered
great president.
society.
I would rather have that.
It's
Joe
I wouldn't be
Biden,
here,
he's
and
never
I
had a
wouldn't be
birdie
here.
in his
The only
entire
reason I'm
life.
here is
If
he's so
you
bad
if
as
you
a
told me, hey,
president
Joe Biden, I just
that
got a
I'm gonna make
birdie, he'd say,
America great
oh,
again.
but
I
the
had to
sea,
do
a
it.
seagull over there.
Also, I didn't want to go to president.
I
to
like
go to
pigeons a
We're a
lot.
seriously failing nation, and we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military
It's gonna be
policies
cool when Trump
are
dies in office and JD Vance is
insane.
president.
They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III
Wow.
than anybody can imagine. We are
Coming from the
very,
guy
very
who got us
close
out
to
of the
World War
Iranian
III,
nuclear
and he's
deal.
driving
Talk
us.
about
And,
Israel.
Kim Jong-un and
Yeah.
President
He just says
Seriously,
World
though.
War
Kim
III, but
Jong-un
doesn't
of
say
North Korea.
it's because
All
Biden's
these
funding the
specific.
genocide or something.
They don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
PCCC.
You want a World
Despite
War III,
President Biden's cold
but
impacting
you
his
power
voice, the
and
message
win
of
and
this
let Putin say,
debate was
"Do what you
clear.
want,
I
NATO.
mean, good for
Just
them.
do what you
but,
want.
oh God.
There's a thing called Article 5.
He should have
Attack
said
on
that
one is
up
attack
top
on all.
then.
Required
I have a
response.
cold.
The idea,
But I'm
I
still
apologize.
idea. I
I'm
can't
sick.
think of a
But
single
what makes me
major
more
country
sick
in the
is the
world
idea that this
who
guy
would
could be
trade places
president.
with
I mean,
Joe Biden.
like this stuff is all just like I can
Feels
be.
like he's trying to
I can
convince
be
me with his
half
eyebrows.
a bottle into tequila and come up with.
Like, am I wrong here? He's been doing it all the whole time. Whenever he actually tries to appear like he's awake, he just tries to convince me with his eyebrows and forehead, and he just gets them as high as possible and says, "See how high I can get my forehead here? What is that not? Is that not convincing to you?"
That they've been doing this for a long time and they'd be experienced, but no.
Of who wins.
Just to finish what he said, if I might.
I'm going
Russia,
to also.
They took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land
From Bush?
Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. He's not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well. But
He
knew not to play
disassociated for a
games.
second.
He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine.
Thank you for the
You
hydrate,
know,
Omega
you asked me a
Star.
question before. Would you do this? He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia.
Pour one
Because
out.
Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost so many people.
Wait, was
and
this
they've
until
lost those
11 or 9
gorgeous
or
cities with the
10:30?
gold
Who thinks
and
Trump's
gold
diaper is full? It
1,000
probably
years
is. He
old.
looks like he's been
Because of him
straining
and
a
stupid
couple of times
decisions,
here.
Russia would have
Starting to
never
really
attacked
sweat.
if I were
President Trump,
president.
the question was,
But,
will you accept the results of the
I
election?
don't think that would ever.
Yes or no?
Finally.
If it's a fair and legal and good election,
So
absolutely.
Fair, legal, and good.
I would have much rather accepted these, but the
Huh?
fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week.
Seriously, I can't
Or
remember
we'll
who
have
said it,
another
but
one of
I think
these
it was
on
Mitty.
in a week.
But yes, we are all at least,
I will absolutely.
I don't
there's
know,
nothing
2%
I'd rather
dumber
do. It
than we
would be
were
much
before
easier
watching
for me
this.
to do that then I'm running again. I wasn't really going to
And
run
for that, I
until I saw the
apologize.
horrible job he did.
Oh,
He's destroying our
yeah.
country. I would be very happy
He
to be
announced
someplace
he
else.
was
in
running
a
like
nice
a missile.
location someplace. And
Did
again,
they barely
no
confronted the
indictment.
This is
fact
actually
he
the
says he never
Political opponent
lost.
stuff, because
Like they
it's the
barely
only way he
they
thinks
talked
he
about
can win,
January 6th, but he
unfortunately,
thinks he
it's
never
driven
lost
up
the
by numbers
election.
and driven him up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Well, let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner. When you lost the first time,
Okay.
you continued, you appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea, if you lose again, you accepting anything?
I do like the
you
whiner
can't stand
thing.
the loss.
Yeah,
Something's
no, this is the
stopping you.
clip,
Lost
like the
last
past minute and a half is if they clip this and play this tomorrow.
With more.
Okay.
More.
Well, maybe I guess this goes 2 hours.
It goes to 11.
Put a
Is that
billion
right?
dollars
We
behind
know?
making that the clip everyone knows.
Folks, just
Oh,
so that
no,
people
they're just
say-
gonna-
Oh, I want to hear what
You're going to get
MSNBC is
our
going to
reaction
do.
as soon as it is over. Plus,
These
we've got
guys.
California
as
Governor
soon as it's over.
Gavin Newsom,
As soon as
who's
it's
going to
over,
be
you know what?
joining
We'll
us
keep
here
it on there,
live.
and this is what we're going to do.
I can't listen to the CNN crew go over this. Why isn't he in jail? Because our justice system is broken. Or at least that's one of the reasons. Good God. Whoops, that's the wrong screen. There we are. Okay. I have already, I believe I've already created a new link for the regular stream today. Which we are going to go straight into here shortly, or well, very, very quickly into. Yeah, it looks like it generated. Okay, cool. So I'll be back on in, like, I'd say, like, at least give me like 10-15 minutes to just, like, reset everything. But I will be back on very shortly with the regular stream. I hope you all are still somehow sane and as I hope that you haven't somehow perished from having watched what we just watched, but it seems like most of you managed to get through it, so great job. Alright, I'll be back on in a little bit. Is there anybody I should raid while this is happening? On Twitch. Let's see, anybody live right now that I'm following? Huh, yeah, I guess we'll raid that. Now we're gonna raid NCC on Twitch. And, yeah, you YouTube people will have to fend for yourselves, as I'm not allowed to raid yet until I get monetized. Anyways, yeah, I will see you all soon. Oh, I can't forget this. Should do this.